Welcome back, I'm Miranda, and today I am going to show you guys how you guys can get started on tracking macros. It's a common question we get asked. So today's video is going to be a little different than what we normally give you. We normally give you guys lots of recipes and workouts, but a lot of you guys want to know how you guys get started tracking macros. So first thing is, when you get started tracking macros, you want to download an app like MyFitnessPal, or you can even get out a pen and paper and start writing it down on that way too. But there's lots and lots of apps out there. Just find one that works best for you. I prefer MyFitnessPal. It has worked the best for me. I've tried a few other apps and I still always go back to MyFitnessPal. Second thing is, you're gonna want either a food scale, which you can get on Amazon or grocery store, anywhere. Grab yourself a food scale. Just make sure it measures in ounces and grams, because those are the two common measurements that you're going to use. Or if you want to, you can use tablespoons or measuring cups. It's whatever you prefer. So obviously on a food scale, you're gonna get the most accurate measurements, but if using your tablespoons and measuring cups works best for you, go ahead and do it that way. There's no right or wrong way. Just make sure you're consistent in the way that you're doing it. So the first thing we're gonna do is actually get in and learn how to read a nutrition label, because so many people don't know how to read a nutrition label, and if you're going to track macros, you should know how to read a nutrition label. So I'm gonna use my almond butter here. And on the back of this, if you turn it around, you're gonna see your nutrition. It's going to have like about how many servings is in this container and then what a serving size looks like. So on this one, it's 2 tablespoons or 32 grams. So normally on everything you'll see is it's going to either have like tablespoons, cups, and then a grams or ounces. So this is 2 tablespoons, 32 grams. So if I was to eat 2 tablespoons of this, or 32 grams of this, the fat content is going to be 17, and then carbs are 7, and protein is 7. Now, if I only wanted to eat 1 tablespoon, so I'm just gonna eat 1 tablespoon, and if I was going to measure out just 1 tablespoon, you take that 32, divide it by 2, which will be 16, and then your macros would be, so half of 17 is, oh my, I cannot think of that fast. So you'll just divide these in half. So 17 divided in half, 7 divided in half, and 7 divided in half, and that will give you the macros for this. I actually brought out this almond butter and jelly today because I'm going to show you guys how to track this, because obviously we all know how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or an almond butter and jelly sandwich. I'm allergic to peanuts, so I eat almond butter. But you can easily have a 600 to 700 calorie sandwich here if you're not careful. So that's why it's important to, if you even don't want to track macros that long, to track them for like a month or 2, just to get the idea of what portion sizes look like, because obviously here in America, we don't know what portion sizes look like, and we always want more. So I'm gonna go over this. I'm gonna show you guys how to make a sandwich on here. So I'm gonna use my food scale. So there's one thing that I don't measure. I don't ever measure my bread. I think there comes a balance of measurement and trusting what the package says. And obviously on your bread, it's going to tell you 2 slices of bread is 130 calories. It's 2 grams of fat. Carbs are 23, and then protein is 6. So I do not ever measure my bread. If you want to measure your bread and you want to make sure your 2 slices of bread equals, so 1 slice is 26 grams. So you take 26 and times it by 2, which would be 52 grams. If you want to make sure that equals 52 grams, you can. To me, I just feel like that becomes where you're becoming a little too much obsessive. So I prefer not to weigh things like my bread, my tortillas, taco shells. So things like that I do not measure, or things that come like single serve packages, I do not measure. I do trust the package. So we're gonna grab out 2 slices of bread here. So I got my 2 slices of bread. And then, gotta grab a knife. So first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna open up your almond butter or your peanut butter. You're gonna set it on your food scale, and then go ahead and turn your food scale on. So if I was to put my bread on here and then measure out it, and then you have that extra on your knife and you wanna lick it, those calories count too, but you're not measuring that because you're just measuring what you put on your bread on there. So now that I have my almond butter on here, I have my food scale set to 0. I can go ahead and dish out 16 grams because I only want to eat a tablespoon of almond butter. So We're going to take 16 grams of almond butter, which I have right there. And then if I wanted to lick this off the knife, it's totally fine because guess what? It's already accounted for. I'm just going to smear it on my other slice here. And then we're going to take that off. We're going to use some jelly. So on this jelly for 1 tablespoon, which is 19 grams, is 45 calories. Go ahead and set that on your scale. Obviously, it's going to give you the weight of the whole thing, but go ahead and push 0 or tar, whichever your food scale does, and then go ahead and dish out 19 grams of jelly. If you want less than a tablespoon, do less than a tablespoon. The one thing I don't recommend doing is if you're wanting to lose weight or you're trying to have some fitness goals that you're trying to reach, you're not just going to want to take this and pour it out on your sandwich like this because you're going to get a ton of jelly. And that's going to add up really, really fast. So that's what a tablespoon of jelly looks like. And then you put them together and there's your sandwich. So macros can be as easy as this. So if you're new to it, start tracking what you're eating right now. It'll give you a rough idea of like how many calories you've been consuming, and do that for at least a week or two. Otherwise, I can link below. I have a thing where you can calculate your own macros. So I'll link that below if you want to figure out your own macros. If you want to do that, just make sure you're tracking macros for at least 2 to 3 weeks before you're making any changes. And also make sure you're tracking your progress in other ways than just stepping on the scale. You need to be tracking measurements, which we have a video on how to take your measurements that I can link below. And then you also want to be taking progress pictures too, because things can change in different ways. You can be putting on muscle and losing fat at the same time, especially if you're new to fitness and new to weight loss and everything. Other than that, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them below so we can give you guys some answers on those. And also, thanks for joining us today.